It has been a while since my last video. I remember that I changed my locks because I didn't feel safe in my own home. I didn't know if he's ever coming back to pick up the rest of his things, but I thought I better put them all together in case that happens, and if it doesn't happen, I can bring it maybe to the charity. And as I did that, I've noticed that actually his drawers were already empty, and that pretty much the whole wardrobe of his things was empty too. So I understood that in that the whole time he was coming back and collecting the things by himself when I wasn't even here. And he picked as well, he took some other things which he gave me actually as a present, but he just collected them. I mean, those presents were, to be honest anyway, a little bit like, I think an electronic scale or a microwave, things he needed for himself because I didn't have them, because I don't use a microwave and I never did. I would use an oven. So in a way, the presents were more a bit practical, and yeah, actually they were more for him rather than for me, but they were given to me, so he took them as well. That's fine, I guess. Now we'll have more space, which is good, and I like space. I guess, you know, it's a bit ironic, isn't it? Yeah, and this happened, and then I understood that, okay, I have to send him a message. I know he, I think, blocked me, even there was no need to block me. I never sent him anything unreasonable or angry. And I sent him, like, you know, a simple text saying, please don't come to my home when I'm not around, because you're not responding to my texts. You're not replying. I don't know where you are. And then when I'm not here, you're just having keys to my home, to my property actually, and you're just coming in to help yourself, and you never even telling me that you were in my place. And so I told him he can't do that anymore, but I didn't mention that I changed the locks. So I sent the text, no response, of course. And then a few days later, I think it was Friday, and I was at work, I received a message, and I'm receiving a message from him telling me that, or asking me where I am. And I said I'm at work, because it was like 5 p.m. In the evening, early evening. And he asked me, when are you gonna be back? He always knew I'm gonna be back by 8, 7:30, not earlier. And then he said to me, oh, okay, good, because I'm around the corner, meaning my home, I'm just gonna go in and pack my things, the rest of my stuff, and by the time you're back, I will be done. Can you imagine that? So first I'm asked where I am, then when I'm gonna be back, to make sure that I'm not at home, and then suddenly actually he's just around the corner. So he tried to trick me, basically. That I guess at that point it wasn't surprising anymore, to be honest. And then I had to tell him, I said, by the way, the locks are changed, so you won't be able to get in anyway. I would say just wait for me, and then when I'm back, then you can collect your things. And then he said he doesn't have time to wait because it will take too much time for him. So you see, it was sort of, yeah, it was not very nice. So he sort of exposed himself. But it's not about that, it's just about the whole situation, really. And then he said to me, how about, he gave me a date, exactly on that date he's gonna come, like 2 weeks later. And I said, fine, until then I'll collect everything, I'll pack everything. Everything was pretty much packed anyway. But I thought, in case he comes in, so I have to get everything ready. I just want him to go through the door, maybe not even through the door. I'm gonna leave it outside my place, next to the door, so he can collect things from there. Because I don't really want him in my place anymore, like not after I've been treated like that. And also you think, how can you trust someone like this? To cut the story short, I didn't have to wait long. So on Friday, when I received that message, already on Sunday, I'm sort of being relaxed, sitting at home on my sofa here in the room you're seeing me here right now, talking to my mother, who is in the Baltics, and suddenly I receive a text. I'm going to be there in half an hour. Okay. First of all, this is so unfair, you know, but then my mom said, you know what, just pack these things, he can come, and off you go. And this is what I did. So I rushed, and I said, I'm not gonna be in half an hour. I'm out for, you know, shopping around my area, groceries. Had to be also like tactful like him to get a bit more time. And then, yeah, it gave me sort of, I gained maybe 1.5 hours, and I prepared everything. And so then he came, collected everything he could, pretty everything. I'm saying from everything where I don't want to even talk about it. And then that's it. I was really, when I saw him, I was really, really tired. And I remember I started even crying, not like, hysterical. And then he looked at me and he said, you're an amazing woman. You're gonna meet someone else. And in that moment I thought, I said to him, it's not why I'm crying. And he's like, really? And why are you crying then? So basically he thought like he is maybe like a Mr. Universe or something, and there is nothing better, especially after I was treated like that. And couldn't even get that. He didn't get, and I said to him, I'm crying because the whole situation for Mom has been so exhausted, and now I think my whole nervous system thinks it's over. So it's releasing the whole stress, whatever. So these were our last words. And then he said, well, I know I didn't contribute much and you helped me a lot, and the things I broke, once you fix it, just let me know how much it costed and I will refund. Do you think you refunded something? No, of course not. So I was a bit worried how much will cost me to fix my window, because I had to go away soon, and I was worried about it because I googled, it could be 150, could be 2,000, but then in the end it was only £90. And the man who did the work, it's a proper company, they were really good. They didn't even charge me for the handle. Apparently the handle was broken, not the whole system. And because the handle looks slightly different, he said it's not exactly one you had. If you want, it's a spare one, I could replace it. And so he was really kind. A very nice family, a really nice family. So nice to see some family businesses and support them as well. So this is how the whole story ended. Even though in my head I projected slightly differently, thought what I'm gonna tell him if I see him. I thought actually I will never ever see him again, and then one day we might run into each other, and what would I say? I didn't overthink too much, but you're human, and you think like, what would happen if, you know, suddenly we're just standing in front of each other, or we're meeting somewhere, seeing each other on a train. And yeah, things happen differently. And then I remember on that day he left, and I felt just so empty in that moment. And it wasn't empty because my life was so fulfilled with him, but because all these things were gone. Like normally where I have a TV, it was actually his TV, and it's okay because I don't really watch much television. If I watch a good film, I watch on my laptop, that's enough for me. And I like to read and do other stuff, so the whole wall was empty. And so I just put a painting, and then where all these microwaves behind my back, they were like full, everything was barricaded with all that stuff. just I cleaned a little bit, and it was a very strange feeling the whole afternoon. And even though I was so glad that it was over, but it still, I had to adjust to the whole situation. So it didn't feel really easy. Did I cry? I think I did. I cried. And then I was at work that week, and I have to say, sometimes I would sit at work and suddenly my eyes will be full of tears, and I feel like I hope nobody will come in right now and ask me any questions. It was strange. It was a few times situations like that, but it was okay. I guess it was understanding actually how much I was helping, how much I was doing for someone, and I got so little in return, like a breadcrumbs. And I learned something. I learned something from it. Somehow I was very happy that it was over, but it's very natural that that process of sort of, I guess it's like a grief, because you lost something. Even I didn't lose anything what I, how to say that, what I miss, but I guess I lost that, you know, that feeling at the beginning when you were someone, all these hopes that, you know, finally I met someone really nice and we're gonna build beautiful things together. And then in the end, you see that this person actually never meant anything serious. He was just there from the beginning to use you. And so, yeah, what can you do? It is as it is, and you can't do anything. You can just really learn. And I learned many lessons. I did learn many lessons, and I guess my number one lesson would be realizing that when you're with someone, maybe not on a first day, but over a while, the relationship shouldn't drain you. The relationship should be like a additional oxygen, because you're fine by yourself. You're good, you have everything you need, you can support yourself. So if you're with someone, it's great that these people add, or this person adds to your life, and it shouldn't be draining. You know, it can be sometimes difficult situations because they might have a problem, maybe you help, but not constantly. I think lesson number 2, I realized that help, but if you have to sacrifice your own health, and your own like physical well-being and your peace of mind, so it's not worth it. And you don't need to wait until something really bad happens, because health doesn't send you warning letters. The warnings are always there, and we often ignore them. So that was my lesson number 2. I think my lesson number 3 would be that, what did I realize? In the future, being with someone means being with someone who has similar values, or the same values, the same moral, and has a moral in general, right? And has a sense of dignity, and at the same time has a similar lifestyle. Because I remember when I take this relationship, probably I would take as an example just for myself. I remember him telling me that his mother would say him at the weekends, go out, do something, why are you spending at home all this time? And then he wouldn't do anything. So she was asking him to go and do something at the weekend and not just lie around. And at that time I thought, oh, poor guy, he's just like maybe feeling depressed. So I justified him. Well, my even feelings that, oh, that's not very good, but you know, you want to be sort of flexible and compassionate, etc. But then this is what happened later. At the beginning of the relationship, of course, everything was really nice. He was motivated to do things, but later every weekend he would just lie in bed and just scroll. He could scroll for 9 hours watching TikTok. I don't watch TikTok, so I don't like scrolling too much anyway. I usually, what I do, I save some videos. I have like a list on YouTube For instance, maybe psychology topics, movies to watch, something funny, maybe some beauty, interior design. I love photography, I like cinematography. And what I do, I add those videos to those folders. So when I feel like, oh, today I would like to watch something fun, so I don't have to scroll through YouTube and try to find something. I have already those folders where I can find things. So this is how I do it. But he would literally do absolutely nothing, nothing. And this is how he likes to live. Apparently, that's why even I think his relationships, what he told me, they never lasted longer than a year. And I thought, us will be an exception, really. Think about it and dream about it more. It is already a pattern, and the pattern needs to be broken, and the pattern kept repeating itself. So that was a good lesson. And I guess the most important lesson I learned: don't take advice from people whose relationships are not role model for you. So this has been my lessons, to be honest. Very valuable, simple, but I'll make sure to write them down in one of my booklets. Yeah, enough talking. And what happened then was that I really felt drained emotionally, physically. I felt really exhausted, like my whole body was exhausted, and I couldn't even take like time off, because it was about, I think, April time or May. And then I was working like on a contract. It was a short-term contract, not short-term, almost for a year. And I knew it's gonna expire in July, like sort of end of July. And I decided to work these 2 months and then better not extend that contract anymore, that work contract at that university, and then just leave, go home, see my parents, my family, recharge, my brother as well, and have like a 7 weeks off and come back in September. So I worked through those 2 months. It was hard. The only thing what I didn't try to do something spectacular or something intense. Sometimes I'm gonna book myself a trip, I'm gonna go to the gym every day. I just wanted really to take it easy and slow, just give myself time to regenerate my whole nervous system and myself physically as well. So I was just trying to sleep a lot, eat well. I eat normally well anyway, but just like kind of take it easy, girl, I thought to myself. What I did, I really liked it. I started going to central London, but then at the same time getting off a few stations before and doing walks in the morning, because central London is beautiful. I love architecture. You walk through these beautiful buildings. It's nice to admire, and you have time to stop. Also love photography, so I could take some nice pictures of nice streets. I'll share a few with you on here. So it was actually very recreating for myself. It was very nice. I did the same when going home, just not doing too much. I didn't meet many friends or anything. I was just sort of work home, but probably we can say I was practicing slow living just to get my strength back, whether it was physical or mental. So that was really beautiful. Those walks were very good. it was even good for to nourish my soul, isn't it? It was quite inspiring, because in the past I used to take quite many photos. I used to have a blog, actually, a very nice blog. And so yeah, I thought, why not to get into this again? And I guess it wasn't even a plan, but because all this headache I had about my relationship disappeared, suddenly I created a space. And when you create a space, your creative mind starts working really well. You see what's for you, you start doing things which you should be doing. So that felt very, very nice, I have to say. And then as I was walking and doing all those walks, at the same time, I started feeling kind of fitter because I was walking in my trainers. And then I thought, you know what, I'm gonna subscribe at the gym, and I'm gonna go on Sunday early mornings once a week to work out a bit, because I felt I need some physical strength, especially for my back, because I'm always lounging. And I thought it will be like a 2 months, and then I can then leave the gym because you pay per month. So this is what happened. So this whole situation helped me to recharge my batteries a little bit. I still felt very exhausted. I had lots of work, but I said I'm not coming back as well. And I thought, no, I don't want to do this anymore. I need a new chapter from September onwards. And yeah, I was kind of brave enough. I knew I'm not gonna get paid at that time. I knew that I just calculated that I had some finances, and I thought I'm gonna be okay. And then when I will come back, I will definitely get something. And then I just couldn't wait for that evening where I had to take my flight, get to the airport, take my flight, and then off you go. Off you go. I even arrived a bit earlier just to make sure I don't miss it. And I felt like I really need a proper holiday. I really need a proper break. I need to leave my environment and then come back in the second week of September and restart freshly new phase of my life.